Everybody. Today I have a special guest, Jeremy Smith. And I noticed you just put Jalahi on here. I'm sorry we didn't talk about that before.
No problem, no
Do you
problem.
like to go by Jalahi?
So I mean, of course, I'm my authentic self, which is Jeremy Smith. That's my God-given name from my parents and stuff. But I do like Jalahi just because that was who I am, or that's who I am as the new me or the reinvented
Oh.
me, from my spiritual journey. And
Mm-hmm.
it's part of the Creative Knowledge TV brand. But again, either one is fine. I identify with both because I'm a Gemini, so I kind of.
Okay. Well, so once we complete this live stream, I can go on the YouTube channel and I can edit the name from Jeremy Smith to Jalahi to honor that if you like.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That'll be
Um, yeah. So, um, you and I have never met in person. We found each other on Facebook. And, when it comes to Facebook, there's so many positive things that people could say, and there's a lot of negative things to say too, right? Like there's just a lot of BS on there. But the beauty of Facebook is that it allows soul family who've never met, who don't live in the same location, and may never have the chance to meet in person to meet that way. And that's how you and I met. And I feel very grateful to have met you because, well, for one, you inspire me. And, and yeah, I just like the way, I mean, I don't know exactly how you move through um, the world off Facebook, but you're so authentic that I have a pretty good sense that the way you act on there and the way you treat people on there is the way you treat people in real life. And and I also have watched some of your live streams on your own YouTube channel. And if anybody would like to find Jeremy, his YouTube channel is Creative Knowledge TV. And when the video is posted on YouTube, well, it's posted there right now. And in the description box is a link to his channel. So that's how you can find him if you choose to subscribe to his channel after this. But in any case, yeah, you're a beautiful soul with a lot of creative knowledge. And so yeah, I've been following your posts and we chat back and forth sometimes in the chat box and comment on each other's posts and keep spurring each other on because you know, it's not always easy. We have our rough days and our good days and our in between days and life is a whole lot of things and it's good when you can have people supporting you saying keep going with your creative endeavors, keep up the great attitude. Hey, I validate that you're feeling like crap today. This too shall pass and all that, right? So
agreed.
um yesterday, oh well, maybe that's our first subject. So okay, you just became a father for the first time.
Yes.
And let's talk about that a little bit. How long Okay, first of all, did you know in your adult life, did you see a baby in your future? Like did you know that you were eventually going to be a father? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm 28, so I consider I waited outside of the traditional period, of when people do like to have kids, especially in my culture. And so I did kind of plan it out a little more than expected. But yes, when I was young, like out of high school, I come from kind of a big family, especially my family down south. My grandma and them, they 9 kids, 8 kids, different things like that. So it's like I'm like, I always was like, man, I want a big family. I want, to kind of keep the generations going. I want to be able to have family reunions and different things
Mhm.
like that. So I was always keeping my mindset tailored towards working to be a
Mhm.
father or, a family man. And
Mhm.
just how I am with my parents and my little sister and things like that. I like to stick around family a lot. So it was definitely always in my goals. But when I had my little one, it's definitely changed my entire realm. You know what I mean?
Mm, mhm. So, I'm gonna ask you a few more questions about that, but so you're because your family is so big, so you have lots of aunties and uncles and cousins, and y'all are pretty close, and you like get together and have reunions and things like that. Like you have a lot of family support behind you. Okay.
So yes, I do. So I have family that live down south, like Miss Memphis, Mississippi. Those are the family on my mom's side.
Mhm.
So grandparents, things like that. They do a lot of family reunions. They like to do a lot of get-togethers. We go down there once a year for the Fourth of July. Get together with them, so I get to see all my great uncles, great aunts, and distant cousins and things like that. And then I got my dad's side here where I get to just always see, my aunties, uncles, and things like that. And we kind of try to get together maybe even once or twice a month just to, enjoy our company with each other because we all see how the world is going now. Like, not saying it's anything to fear because we as spiritual beings don't want to be fearful of anything. But sorry, the little one is
No, it's great to have her presence. It's
yeah,
great.
definitely. But it's just like I feel like, since the pandemic, I have grown to see that you got to you got to stay around that love and feel love and also share the love with them as well, because like you mentioned, like it's hard out here. You don't have a lot of people that's going to tell you, hey, keep going. Hey, I know today has been bad, but I love you, and I believe in you. I feel that you are great, you know what I mean? And I think giving that positive reinforcement to each other as a family, as friends, me and you as
Mhm.
soul people, it's very important. It's very, prominent in my life, and I love to, do it.
Wow. That's so awesome that your family is tight. Mine isn't exactly. and and yeah, you're lucky to have that.
But I
Um
think that's why you got the soul family, though. Like I think when I see you, it's like, especially the people who you have on your show, things like that. Like I literally be thinking like this has to be her family or people she was very close with or something. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
just how you communicate and how you interact with us, and even how we met, and then how you interact with me. It's like, bro, I had to know her in a past life or something like that. Like.
You know, that's great that you bring that up. When I found uh are you do you follow the zoology page on Facebook? I think you do, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so when I discovered them, okay, so the pandemic had just happened. And of course, I was like everybody else, rampant doing my research and going down rabbit holes and being like, what's the real narrative here? Not that anybody knows what the real narrative is, but we definitely know it's very different than the one being handed to us, right? And but it was also really starting to make me very depressed. And I was like, wow, I really need to turn this ship around. Like, what's right with the world? And like, where's my tribe? Because I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico for so many years, and I had my tribe was wide, and then I had a core of people that I was really tight with. And I've lived there longer than I've lived anywhere. And one by one, my closest girlfriends, they all started to go. And Santa Fe just started to feel, and Santa Fe itself was changing as the nation is too, right? With like the fentanyl crisis and the crime and the poverty and everything that COVID brought. And it was just the whole climate of Santa Fe was just changing. And it didn't feel like that warm, yummy place that embraced me when I moved there. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I need to find some soul tribe and I need to set my sights on what's right with the world and and move into the mindset of not poor me, victimhood, anger, fear, sadness. but like, oh, well, we create the world we live in. So where can I find some people to build with? And that's when I found zoology. And yeah, it's been a real blessing. And then lots of those people that you hear come on, that you have heard me interview on here, I met through there. And coming circling back to the past life thing is that I fully believe that, not believe, I feel it with some of these people that we do have a past life connection. And you know what? I got to stop saying past life. My whole life I've been saying past lives, but the more you delve into like quantum physics and stuff, you realize that you're multidimensional and all those lives are happening really simultaneously. So I could say I have interdimensional connections with those people and with you too. I feel like not that I like can see the dimension and walk around in it, but I feel a kinship with you too, like beyond this flesh, like in some other way that I can't explain.
And I'll never forget. I think the first video you sent me was like one of the deepest videos because it was like in 20 parts or something. It
Oh my,
was actually a link to like a website about how all the corruption in the world started, like from start to like to now. And it was like when I say I was up all night watching it, and I was like, wow, like because and it just so happens at that time that was what was going through my mind. It's like, how did this happen to us as a people? Like, how did the monetary system start? Who controls this and things like that? And that's when I knew, like, okay, she's somebody to kind of be inspired by and actually keep in communication with, because we must be on the same wavelength or vibrational frequency. And it was like ever since then you send me videos here and there, and it's like, oh, okay, that hits right on point. Yep.
nice. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, how old were you when you kind of like took a look around you at the world and you were like, something doesn't add up here? Like, I think there's more to the story than I've been told.
Mhm.
How old were you, and what was it that sparked that knowingness? And then what did you do after that? So it's kind of a three-part question, but you take it as you like.
So I would say I remember being, I'm gonna say 20, 21, like going into 21. I was in college, and I remember like just going through day after day, working, going home. I was always into sports, so I'll go do my sports and just kind of go about life every day, just kind of walking through life, doing what you got to do, and then you know kind of just going home, going to sleep, waking up, doing it all over again.
Hmm.
Then I remember I took a philosophy course,
Ah, nice.
and philosophy, I feel like the questions that they were asking and the mentality that it gave me really changed my perspective from that point on. And it was because we had a great teacher, professor I met, and he was asking questions that about self that I couldn't even answer about myself though. And I'm like, why, why haven't I even asked these questions before? Why haven't I even thought of this type of deal? And so I kind of was interested. I was hooked, so I started reading a few books. One of my first books that I really read was Questions of the Soul, and it was just amazing because like just so many questions that you can ask yourself that will um, throw you into immense deep thought, and you'll be like, oh wow, this is why I act this way, that leads to these actions, behaviors, traumas, fears, different things of that nature. And you're like, okay, so how can I unlearn this and kind of change my behavior to so that it's proverbial for or um like better or favorable for a
Hmm.
better life, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
From there on, I think 21 up, I was like, okay, this is where this is the path I'm on. And then I started to see kind of, the injustices that were happening in the world. Like you mentioned, how the media is kind of pushing one narrative, but then when you actually do research, you see what's going on. There's an underlining thing that's like, nah, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was just going deep into the rabbit hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a huge discrepancy between what we're told in the classroom and on the TV and in movies and on the internet and what's really going on. Um, I remember my first philosophy class in college. It turned me on too, opened my eyes. Yeah, definitely. Um, so then what I heard you saying is that after you started to discover yourself and also discover that the narrative that was being painted for us all wasn't really what's up, then you decided, oh, I want to discover more about myself, and I want to discover more about maybe the way the world really is rather than how I'm told it is. And and then that set you on a path that you're still on. And
Correct.
yeah, once you open your eyes, you can't go back to sleep, right? So it's
You
like
can't.
even if you would like to turn it all off and just be like, "Oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna fall back into a malaise and follow the narrative," you can't. It's like
I thought you could though.
once you swallow that pill, done deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was one thing that was crazy to me. And like the Bible mentioned that it was speaking about how you have to be in the world but not of the world. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like you said, ever since then, I've never been able to get back to being of the world or liking worldly things anymore. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I had this question on my podcast before as well, as far as like, can that be detrimental sometimes to your life?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
not chasing the riches, the fame, you know what I mean? And things
Mhm.
like that. Not saying that you don't have a purpose, not saying that you're, just bumming it out in life, but that you're not going for, like I mentioned, the proverbial things in life, like money, cars, those different things that don't truly matter to the soul, at least to me, at
The
least.
stuff you can't take with you anyway, right?
Exactly, exactly. So, what do you think about that as far as like, can this lifestyle that we are striving to live and continue to live by, is it detrimental sometimes to maybe us getting, that upper echelon riches and things like that? Because I feel rich now and it's like I'm not doing nothing special, you know what I mean? So I don't know
Mhm.
how people perceive that though, you know?
That's a great question. I think how I would approach it is so there's something I've been working on for a very long time and I'm still working on it, and um I I know that part of my life's work or a mission that I signed up for before I took a human body was to help clear my ancestral paths, maternal and paternal, of a blockage in the second chakra. And people often think of like the first chakra when it comes to like basic necessities and stuff. But your second chakra has in it all of your creative energy. And when I think of procreative energy, I take it way beyond making a child. It's where poetry comes from. It's where your gifts come from that you are here to bring. And sometimes those gifts can be blocked. And those gifts are also tied in with your abundance, the way you express yourself in the world, and the way the world reciprocates. And my dad was a carpenter and a fisherman by trade because he learned those skills from his uncle. But he also had a lot of creativity within him. He was a musician, and he would fashion and build other things too that weren't houses, like, rocking horses or a bed for his child, or things that a wagon that he built for me when I was very young. And I know that he did his job because that was his skill that he knew how to do, but I wasn't always convinced that it fulfilled him. And this then when I look at my mother, well, she ran into a huge obstacle at about age 30, and then she made her exit at age 40. But if I observe her as well, like, that she never found her, well, she found her creative niche. Like, she was a sculptor and a poet, and she could make jewelry, and she was a seamstress extraordinaire. Like, she probably could have gone into the fashion world. She was a great writer, on and on and on. But as far as like a job or whatever, or vocation, she never made that connection. Um, and I've tried to throughout my life, but it hasn't really, like, I guess I'm still in the place where my creative endeavors, A, haven't fully come online, and B, that's not where my abundance comes from, as far as like being able to feed myself or put a roof over my head. And it's a really, I'm going to be honest, it's a really sometimes frightening blockage to have, because I know it's a soul mission, and I know that thus far I have been taken care of. Like, I don't remember ever going to bed hungry. Um, I've never had to sleep on a bench or outside somewhere unless I was camping and wanted to, Um, but I can go into major fear about it. It's like, come on, Julie, you're 55 years old and you still don't have this piece figured out. And so this is a long answer to your question, but you were saying, can being spiritually focused sometimes cut us off from our material wealth? And I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with material wealth. If you're not um, weighing too heavy on the earth by your overconsumption, and you're not tied up with ego and money and possessions, but you're creating abundance for yourself, and maybe you'd also like to share that with the world. And you're just, and so for some of us, that is a spiritual lesson that we came in with, how to make that happen for ourselves, right? And I think in this new earth phase is that we're going to learn that it's actually not all about money. That it's about community, because it doesn't matter. Moving from a paper dollar to crypto or gold is not going to solve any problems. It's still money mentality, right? And so we're learning, like, okay, he grows food, she makes shoes, she takes care of children very well. This person is a master gardener, and we put our heads together and we live in community. And so there's some of the old, like before the Industrial Revolution, and then there's some of the new earth and ideas and creativity coming together, because money ain't where it's at. And so now here I go again, because I'm still trying to master the money thing, and yet it's not about money. So then what am I trying to master? I'm trying to master being easy on the earth, while provide serving others in a way that inspires them to share with me, so that we both have our needs met, right? I didn't even know we were going to go here, and I didn't mean to talk so long,
No,
because I wanted to ask you more questions, but it is a build and we're building together. So that just all came out. Um,
exactly. And again, beautiful answer because, like you mentioned, like I feel the same exact way. Just as far as like, when you dabble into your creative um, geniuses and your creative niche, you're like, okay, I love to share with the world. I.e., why you have creators of a new earth. I feel like you're manifesting that though. And I think we're manifesting what we have to offer. I'm a big proprietor in the philosophy of everyone gets a chance to see, and that's what it's season. Because when you have your chance to see the sun, that is your time to bring about your change to the entire world. And sometimes it's just like, instead of forcing it, sometimes it's you have to allow that sunshine to come and shine on that gift, you know what I mean, at a certain period of time, you know what I mean. So, and I feel the shift is coming. I feel like we're gonna be the ones that's most needed at in the time of, the time we know that's gonna happen. We're gonna be the ones that people are gonna say, I need encouragement, I need this, I need that. And then again, we'll be inclined to share as far as, and we'll be inclined to receive, of whatever we deserve of receiving.
It's so bizarre what happened when you were saying all that. I got teary and I'm still teary. And I was trying to take in the words and I could make logical sense of what you were saying, but I was tracking the energy and what's making the tears flow is not exactly your words, but the energy and the intention behind it. Like it really struck a chord in me. And last night I was thinking how I always place all these parameters on myself. It's like, oh, you didn't meditate today and you didn't exercise and you don't do this and you're not consistent and da, 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 like the constant fucking judge. And I was just thinking, Julie, what if you just let it all go? What if you didn't try to push so hard and try to make yourself be something you're not? Not that I'm not spiritual or any of that, but like to try to fit myself into these patterns and regimens and routines and all this stuff, and just received who I am and received from the universe what it sees as the most appropriate gift for me based on my resonance, energy, frequency, and vibration. And I was like, wow, to do that I would have to literally surrender everything that my ego holds so tightly to. And because at this point I'm kind of like a sponge who is so saturated I can't absorb anymore. Like it's almost like I can't receive. And so it's like I just need to trust the universe and trust God to wring me out and return me to an open receptacle receiving vessel, that I am. Uh and I think also, as generous as people can seem, even as generous as I may have seemed in my life, I think it really was from a genuine place. But I think often we can subconsciously or unconsciously give, whether it's energy, time, money, resources, our bodies, whatever it is, um, because it makes us feel safe. So like we're doing it from this under like, oh, then they'll love me, then I'll be this, then I'll have that, then I won't have to worry about this, then I'll have the love, then whatever, fill in the blank, which is me. Really, you're giving from a place not of fullness and abundance, but from scarcity. Even if it's subconscious, it doesn't mean your intentions were bad. It just means you didn't know yourself yet, right? And I depleted myself in a lot of ways, not knowing that and not knowing myself, like overgiving with money, with time, with energy, with this or with that. And about a year ago, I totally said, you know what? My life just doesn't make sense the way it's going. I'm going to turn it completely on its head. I got rid of most all of my possessions. I left Santa Fe. I came here. I'm a live-in caretaker. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, like, most people in the United States. And I have no clue what comes after here or how I would even uh, create that for myself, because I don't have this, but I have this and I have this. And so learning to trust and surrender, and it can be so scary. Anyways, I had no clue you were going to bring all this out, Jeremy. Thank you for holding space for me. Uh-oh, where'd you go? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had pushed the V button to say press V and the camera disappeared. My bad. But no, I truly resonate with that message. And again, it's all it's all connection, Julie. And again, that this is such an authentic moment, like you just mentioned. Like I almost just got teary eyed because like I feel the vibration of what you're saying because that's what I'm going through. Even again, like I mentioned, as a young black man, not doing what I see every other black person doing, what I see every other father doing in my culture, we're trying to do so much for the money that I end up dead or in jail. You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot of different thoughts, and like you mentioned, we try to we our ego. It's that ego that, like you mentioned, constantly bangs the gavel. You're not doing enough. You're not this. You're not that. You're not that. I have a saying from a spoken word rapper that I listened to, and he said, "I have no plans to beat myself up, but if I do, I use a feather." We got to start becoming and being light to ourselves. We got to continue to stay light on ourselves because life is just the light. That's why they both start with the Li. We got to understand that we are light. We're just here to flow through this life and receive and manifest whatever we desire. And again, our desires, at least for me, my desire is to spill this knowledge and find the love of God. I think this spiritual work is to truly find the love of God, whatever that God may be. And love is only shown by how we love ourselves. So if you continue to love yourself, continue to love its people or its creations. And we all know we love nature because nature is what sustains us, not this, not this. And I always ask this question to a lot of people: would you rather take 3 million or 3 trees? A lot of people would take the 3 million. I'm taking the 3 trees because the trees are going to do so much more for me. They're going to help me breathe. They're going to bring me certain fruits and foods. Money can only bring you what the oppressor has for us. We get money and go buy what they want you to buy, what they sell you. So we gotta just understand that sometimes we don't belong here at this period of time on this specific earth frequency as well. But we're here to change it. And I feel that's what we're doing with our work right now. We're getting ready to change this narrative, change the vibration, and we just got to keep steadfast at what we're doing. And like you mentioned, it's the ego that wants us to feel like we're not doing enough, but we are. We're here. We're showing up every day for ourselves because this journey is the hardest to me. Loving yourself and finding what's in your heart is the hardest to me. I ain't never worked as hard on in my life, but working on myself. Like I don't care what nobody say. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Thank you so much, Jeremy. You're a treasure. Um, Gosh, there was so much you said. Okay. So, there's a group of people on Earth, not group as in clique. There are many people all over the Earth that are connecting and building their own, like when you look under the ground and you see the microorganisms in the soil, that's called the microbiome. And then you see that internet of tree roots and the fungi and the mycelium and all of that. We are that. And we're finding each other, right? And sometimes we have words because language is like we pick these words that is a common reference point. Like if I say blue, something comes to your mind. If I say apple, something comes to your mind, right? So there's these words that are kind of new for a lot of people and not so new to other people, but there's this word starseed, right? Which means, and it doesn't matter, whether you're Hopi or whether you're from a country on the continent of Africa or whether you're wherever you are in the world, many cultures know that they came from the stars. And yes, we were born here, and this is our home in this avatar body right now, right? But we are multidimensional. And what you hear a lot of people, like my generation, we were more like the indigo, right? And then there were the crystal children and the rainbow children, and now there's the diamond children. There's all these children, right? So, and starseed to me means that you get that, like on a visceral level, you really know it's not to deny the human, it's not to deny the body, it's not to deny this avatar, because this is where all of our energy is focused and sitting. Our life force is inside this vessel right now. It's not it's not in my Palladian body, or well, it might be, but as me here right now, this is where all the life force is flowing. So that's what I'm paying the most attention to, right? It's not so important if I have another life on Arcturus or in the Pleiades or whatever, unless that translates into information that's going to help me navigate this world right now, right? But what I'm saying by saying that is that we understand that we are interdimensional and we are bringing our gifts from all those dimensions to help uh, the passing and the death of the old and the birth of the new. And lots of these children that are coming in, they have so much already online. So lots of people are saying a lot of the children born don't even come in with karma. They come in karma free. um some of them are very new souls because they've never been to earth, but they've decided, like, this is the time to go. Now's the time to go help. So this is a totally new place for them. Some of them are very old and they're born, and it's like they got skills by the mile. you know they're telepathic, they're this, they're that, they're going to be spitting knowledge that took you 60 years to gain, and it's just like, whoa. you know and I know that your baby's really really young, and she doesn't talk yet, as far as, like, please give me an apple or whatever. But what do you see in her? Do you see start seed qualities? Do you think she came here to be like, it's on, people, and I came to help show the way? Does she feel like that energetically to you?
So I would say yes, and it's so crazy because my dad kind of asked me the other day, "What is a star seed?" and things like that, and I kind of went into what you just went into, and is in regards to my daughter, like right out the womb and things like that. She's such a smiley baby. She's happy. She's so energetic all day. She rarely complains about, once we feed her and change her, it's like she's good. She's chilling. She likes watching, the old school animation movies like I do, Toy Stories, The Lion Kings, things like that. And I mean, when I do hear her, talk her babble and I try to read to her and things like that, it seems like she's engaged or like she's already trying to tell us something. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, it's like I feel like because of who her parents are and because of who I am and who I'm preparing to be, I've had that philosophy for a while. I think kids choose their parents, not we choose to choose the parent and then we have a baby. Like, I feel like kids are the people who choose their parents,
Yeah,
from that outer universe. And
yeah,
kind of just like her energy is just immaculate. It seems like she's already growing in intelligence so fast. And I think babies are closer to the creator than we are. You know what I mean? Because they're
Fresh
just
from the
coming
other
out of
side.
that darkness, right? They're just coming out of that darkness. So I'd be ready. I wish she can tell me what she's dreaming about, or what like what's in the darkness. Like those be the things I gotta think about when I look at it. Like I wish
Yeah.
you could tell me what God telling you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of funny to me, just kind of thinking about those type of things.
You guys can practice your telepathy together. Does she so when she goes out in nature, you know, have you taken her out in nature yet?
So I haven't went out to like, cause Chicago weather is everywhere. So
Oh,
we've went for walks. Like I love, we sit in the sun for a little bit, do a little. I do a little sun gazing, but I try to like hold her to the sun a little bit, things like that. I keep her around me sometimes while I meditate, things like that. But yeah, we haven't stepped foot and put our feet in like the grass or anything yet.
yeah. So she hasn't seen like flowers or she hasn't been on the grass yet. It's going to be interesting to see how she responds to nature. Or if you take her even like out of the city, like if you guys were to go camping or go for a hike or whatever, I wonder how she'll respond. I mean, for me, Jeremy, nature is where it's at too. Like I know my soul chose to come back here. Like I'm in Oregon, which is the state that I grew up in. My mom's from San Francisco, California, and my dad's from Portland, and I grew up on the coast on 23 acres of pristine temperate rainforest with deer and bear and elk and bald eagles and
Yeah,
berries, huckleberries and blackberries and stuff you can just walk along and pick and, building
yeah,
forts and having dirt clod fights and getting dirty and hanging out in the forest like all summer long or on the beach, And I go to the forest often and I go to the beach often and I just it's when I feel the best because I come home and I've just been in this state of bliss and awe at this creation, and it's where I feel the best. That's where I feel the best.
agreed. No, like nature, it's something about it that just soothes you. It lets you know that this was perfectly planned by the creator, or this was, I don't want to say perfect because it's just infinite. So this was just infinitely created, and it's part of the creation, just like I am. And it's just another form of the creator's creation. And
Yeah.
it just affirms to me that my God is real. Like my spirit is real, because look at this. Like these, like you said, the bugs, the trees, water. When I just go listen to water, like I did a build a while back, asking everyone what can certain nature aspects of nature teach you, like fire, water, earth, wind, things like
Yeah.
that. I think you actually commented on a few of the posts too, but
Mm,
it was just so deep, because it's like those are the true teachers. Earth has its own curriculum that some people choose not to delve into. And as you mentioned, like you're into it, like and growing up in that, I know it's beautiful. That's why I want to move. Like that's one of my goals.
mm,
Soon, is to try to get in a more tropical place. Try to get closer to the sun. Try to get closer to where it's more grass, more um just more fruit, like free hanging fruit and things like that, where I ain't always got to go to the supermarket, or I ain't always got to things
mhm,
like that.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I know the elementals, fire, earth, water, and air, they're very, very powerful. And yeah, it's funny how we you know, I don't know. I often say the first mistake that humanity made, and I shouldn't call it a mistake because this is how we learn and grow and evolve, but I often say that the first mistake was to stop being nomadic.
Mm,
And
okay.
because like okay, so I've been taking this class with my mentor
Mhm.
and it's about transforming trauma and like stepping out of denial and coming into awareness and um working with your emotions and beliefs, and using Mother Earth to help you transform your emotions, and using Father Sky to help you transmute your beliefs, and then working with acceptance, acknowledgement, surrender, gratitude, and compassion. And somehow I was tying this into the elements. Um, oh, he was, because he was saying, like, imagine, like, when, and you still have some cultures on the earth that do this, but at this point they're the minority, unfortunately. He was like, we used to sleep on the ground under the stars, so we didn't need to give our emotions to Mother Earth and have Father Sky help us transmute our beliefs, because we were sleeping on the earth and the starlight was shining on us all night long. So it was already a thing. It was already happening, you know? And the elements, like the people who can hear the elements, um, they get sad sometimes that we don't recognize them, that we're just like, oh, we'll dump whatever, in your water and poison you, and we'll just put all this stuff in the air. And like, do we ask the air, like, hey, is this cool, is this what you want? The air would be saying, fuck no. And the water would be saying, like, get your shit out of here, I don't want that. And but to talk to the elements, and so, and also realizing that it's not the human and then earth, it's all one big living organism. And even though we're walking around on top of it, we are still a part of that organism, right? So we work in concert with her. And I think that's what she's reminding us at this time, is like, hey, I'm sovereign, I am free. If I want to shoot lava out of my volcano, or if I want to shake off some old history by having a tornado or maybe an earthquake because I'm changing and rearranging, then I'm going to do that. And you can do that too, right? And the sun is in concert with that. There's so much going on with the sun, with all the solar flares, with the shift in its magnetic field. Also, so there's this conversation between earth and humans and the sun that's going on right now. And like, the elements are part of that conversation, and it does behoove us to speak to them, because not only like tell them our ideas or ask for something, but like ask if they're willing to share their knowledge, and be open to understanding that it's not always going to be in English. It's going to be in your silence. It's going to be in your observation. It's going to be in your presencing, that silent communication where the real knowledge can come in. Yeah.
Yes, that was powerful. I agree 100% with you on that.
Yeah. Um, I have a bonus question, like one that you didn't get to prepare for. But I mean, I know this when I say prepared, um to the audience, I'm speaking to the audience now, so it's not like we sat down and scripted anything. I just said, hey, these are some of the things I'm curious about that you might toss around in your mind before we get on here. So nothing is scripted, but this one I didn't even tell him about yesterday. So I had this question this morning, and I was like, oh, and by the way, I when I was outside, I always say like a little prayer or set an intention before these. And
Mhm.
I was just kind of like getting myself centered, and putting my energy all in one place. And then I invited my ancestors to come through, and I said, yeah, and if Jeremy's ancestors and my ancestors want to get together and know um each other a little bit, during this build, that would be great too, whoever wants to show up. And um but the question that came to me for you was, there's two ways to put it. Like, okay, I guess the simplest way to put it is, what is one major transformation you would like to see that you think would be very beneficial within the collective consciousness?
Okay, that's a great question. I think I think everyone getting back into a universal love or universal oneness. You know what I mean? Like I know they want to say English is the universal language and things like that, but no, like a actual oneness of everyone because we're the human race and we're not we shouldn't be racing against each other. The race was to get back to Eden or the garden. So we should be all in unison trying to help heal the planet because like you mentioned, Mother Earth is going to do what she has to do to cleanse itself anyway. But there can be less casualties. I know people are very sensitive about death and things like that, especially in natural disasters and things, but it has to happen. Death is natural to life, family. Um, so that helping the earth heal itself. Stop cutting down these trees. Stop killing the animals. I like you mentioned. I think the first mistake, which we don't want to call it a mistake, but we stopped being nomads. We started trying to be proper. We wanted to go inside. It's okay to have shelter and things like that, but like you mentioned, we spent most of the time outside in the ancient times. But the second mistake that we made was desecrating nature's creations or the creator's creations for our benefit, family. Eating the animals. That threw off the total balance of this earth. So that threw us out of balance of universal oneness. So we wonder why, certain people or certain things hate each other. It's because we started hatred by causing fear and hate between the animal kingdom and the human domain. Um, we were always able to use plants, so I don't want to say killing plants or anything, but you know, spraying certain chemicals on plants a a certain that creates a certain baleful impact between the human domain and the oxygen or the air domain or the plant domain, family. So we wonder why our earth is kind of gonna retaliate. It's gonna attack some of these people back unless we get back to that universal oneness, that universal love of loving ourselves. Then because when you love yourself, you'll love nature, you'll love the sun, you'll love the moon, you'll love your fellow sister or brother. We'll treat everyone like a sister or brother. We'll get back to the reverence of the mother and father because we'll know that, the sun is the father, earth is the mother, and we'll just kind of, the love will just heal everything. I think that's just my like vision for the earth. Like if everyone gets back to that love, and I mean again, death will always be natural. We will solve things the way they will have to be solved. If a person steal, we know what to do with them. You know what I mean? Person kill, we know what to do with them.
Mhm. That's beautiful. It made me think of something. So you, I mean, if I just re- restated your answer in two words, it would be unity consciousness. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't even, I'm not, I play around with that too, what you said about like, eh, is it retaliation or is it just her doing our thing? Are these like natural consequences of everything playing out together, and it's like, hey, we commit ecocide all the time. So if her natural response and reaction, getting sick because of our ecocide, is that a few of us die, that's a natural consequence more than it is retaliation. In my view, I'm not against what you're saying. I'm just saying I can also look at it through a different lens.
For sure.
But you know what I was thinking about when you were talking, well, I was focused on what you were saying, but this came up and I kept it on the back burner to share now, is that it's
Mhm.
kind of wild, right? Because like the whole the whole inverted matrix has you outwardly focused, right? It's like
Right.
buy these Air Jordans, live in this house, have this car, wear this cologne, get this Rolex, and the ladies will love you. And then, because the ladies love you, you'll be able to procreate and start the cycle over so we can have more people to buy our shit and get on our treadmill, right? I mean, it's kind of disgusting. But anyway, there it is. So it's all outward, is my point. And where we need to go if we're going to pull this off, this unity consciousness and healing the earth and healing ourselves and working together as one, is we got to go inward, right? Not outward. Well, it's kind of ironic. We were out. We were not separate. When we were nomadic, it's like if it's windy, you're feeling it. If it's raining, you're feeling it. You're sleeping on the ground. The starlight is on you. The sunlight is on you. You're one with the elements. There is no, outward, inward. It's all one, right? Then when you go into a structure, even though you're going even though you're going inside the structure, you've actually gone more externally now from yourself, because you got to go out there to get like, oh, I have to get a hoe, I have to get a till, I have to get some nails, I have to get a hammer, I have to get all these things. So once we went inside, we went more outside. And now we're too far outside and we're trying to get back inside. And to do that, we got to go back outside into nature. I was like, all that was running through my head when you were talking. I was like, stay focused on what he's saying because it's important, so just like keep this thought for later and listen to Jeremy, and you should share that later. But it's wow, I never had that realization until today about the inside outside, but it's so true, I feel.
That's super deep, actually. I love the way you put that as well. And that should be a build in itself because, like you mentioned, like, yeah, like, and then I would love to even just, that's why I love researching because it's like, yeah, like, we all know we're about like 80 something percent stardust. So, like you mentioned, we felt everything that the earth felt. If it rained, they say if it rain, it pours. Like we were probably in a, not, I don't want to say depressed, but those were probably the days where we're, walking around, we're mourning our lost ones or something like that. We may be crying.
Oh,
We are.
sorry. You froze for a second. Can you repeat that last about what happens when it rains a lot?
Yeah. So like like back then, what if when it rained, what if maybe the people were crying that day, or the universal
Mm,
consciousness was like mourning the ancestors that day. When
mhm,
it's very sunny out, everyone is smiling, everyone is feeling vibrant. Like you said, very windy, everyone is flowing through life easily, or so it's like I love like topics like that because it can just throw
wow.
your mind through, wow. And
Yeah.
we love to wonder. I love to wonder about things.
Yeah. Oh. And I personally, I talk a lot to, like, I talk to the air, I talk to the water, um, I talk to the earth, I talk to the sun, I talk to the moon, I talk to the planets, I talk to my body,
Mm,
I talk to the microbiome. Like when I put my feet on the soil, because the microbiome is also within. It's in my gut.
mhm, mhm.
That's like the gut of the earth, right?
Exactly.
And so if
Mm,
her gut's not healthy, then our food and our gut ain't going to be healthy, right?
exactly.
So and I put my feet on the earth, I'm like, hello, microbiome. Thank you, microbiome. And, and with my body too, it's like, how many people are out there thanking their toenails and their eyelashes and their mucosal lining and their bile duct and their organs and their skin and their like we got to be grateful because as much as sometimes we like to poo poo being human or poo poo the human body and be like, no, that's not where it's at. It's like, no, that is actually where it's all at right now. Like it might just be an avatar and it might not be all of you, but it is allowing you to have this human experience. It is the casing of your spirit and therefore your temple. And you ought to be grateful. And that actually will change you on an atomic level, you know. That gratitude is a great transformer. And it's also like, gosh, when I used to practice Chinese medicine and I had patients, I'd be like, do you realize that most people treat their cars better than they treat their bodies? Like, you bring your car in when it's time to get an oil change. You fill it up when it needs. You do all this maintenance, right? And it's like, yeah, you got a gallbladder full of stones because you're not eating right, right? And it's like, well, back then I was flushing my gallbladder a couple times a year. It's like, hey, if I go to the mechanic and he says, "Do you see this filter? It's clogged up. You need to clean it." It's the same with your kidneys. You got to flush them out. Your liver, gallbladder, you got to, people think you only have stones in your gallbladder. You have stones in your liver too, right? So it's like I just think gratitude is so important. Speak to the mother, speak to the earth, get those bare feet on her. Speak to the elements, speak to your body, like speak gratitude.
And you help you help me come into the knowledge of actually grounding or
Mm.
taking one chakra at a time. Like I remember I put up a post one time and I was talking about a multitude of chakras within how it affects the emotions. And you commented on it and was speaking of how you were telling me you're starting with the first chakra, grounding that, tapping into what it actually can heal for you, creating an ego death to where you can live in that confident self of that first chakra. And what you just said was so powerful because meditation and that silence and connecting to earth, connecting your temple or your soul's temple, your soul's house to the universal house, it can help you see or listen to where you may lack. Like you mentioned, like
Mm.
a lot of people have more faith in the worldly ish than they have in their own self, their own gift, their own body, their own mindset, their own thoughts. I said that a lot. Like we drive every day, uh, relying on other people's brakes and things like that. We're in traffic. We ain't nobody's brakes gonna go out on them and crash into me today. But we don't have that same faith in, you know, us
Mm.
actually relying on ourselves to get ourselves out of these baleful mindset situations, these negative thinking patterns, these traumas that you mentioned, and just, again, eating right, loving yourself, living in gratitude. Like you mentioned, how many times do people wake up and say, man, I didn't have to think about breathing all night. You know what I mean? Like you don't even have to think about breathing. Right now, I'm not consciously saying breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. No, bro. That's God, that's soul, that's your temple, your darkness, the inside of you working in unison with the life force energy because you deserve to be here. So why not give a little of that gratitude back to your body by rewarding it with, like you mentioned, good food, exercise, mental exercise, physical exercise, spiritual exercise or practice.
Mm.
Close your eyes and listen to your body, family. Listen to the earth. I heard a philosopher say, I love silence for the sound it makes one time. And that was so deep because it's like you would think silence is silence. No, actually, silence is the loudest place there is. You know what I mean? Because you are able to hear everything.
Mm. I love that. Um, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you have to get back to your family, but do you have time for one more question?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. So you remind you remind us a lot, and I think it's a good reminder. And okay. So I was pretty active my whole life because I I grew up on 23 acres. So, and I walked everywhere. And even I didn't even have a car until I was 36.
Wow.
I had a bike, and
Yeah.
so it was like laundromat, work, socialization, groceries, whatever. To do laundry, I would put my laundry in a backpack and get on my bike and take it to the laundromat and bring it back home, and same with groceries, and I was in pretty good shape. And then I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and you need a car there. Like, it's gonna be really because the transportation system ain't that great, and they got lots of weather, and, so I got a car, and, but, I continued to go to gym and do yoga and do qigong and stuff. These past 3 years, I've been so sedentary, it's like I'll start exercising or doing yoga or something, and then I'll stop, and I'll start, and I'll stop, and I'll start, and stop. It's like my starter, on my car is broken or something, so but I know it's important, and I know how much better I feel when I am exercising regularly. Um, but you really, I mean, really, we say mind, body, spirit, but really we are all of these blended into one mind, body, spirit, soul. And, but there is great reward and benefit when we nurture them, when we nurture the mind, when we nurture the body, when we nurture the soul. And you encourage people to nurture all three consistently. You encourage us to do that. And not everybody does it the same way. And you have a way that you do it. But why do you think it's important? How do you do it? And what are some unconventional ways? Like, let's say a person doesn't have money to go to the gym, or they don't know how to meditate, or they feel like they can't afford to eat healthy. Like, this is a lot of questions all in one, and you can just speak to whatever arises in your heart as it comes. But so that's my 101 questions in one question.
No problem. No problem. It's a great question, and I love it. So like we have to understand that wellness or feeling well can lead to wealth. There's no wealth without the WEL or being well. So, family, we kind of got to understand that, okay, if you want to start mental exercise, there's nothing needed with that but your mind, your silence, and your actual dedication to saying, "Hey, I'm gonna sit here in silence and listen to my Creator or my God," because God will speak to you. And when you do mental exercises, you can read. Sometimes that's critical thinking or critical research. You can try to research things that you're very that you're thinking about or that you wonder about. I mentioned the word wonder earlier. That's that natural wow energy. I spoke about that in the video as well. That WO. I love etymology as well, as you guys can see. But you know what I mean? When you get into that wonder aspect of your life, you go back into that childlike mind state where you wonder, and that's bliss in itself. That's a mental exercise in itself, learning. So sometimes just reading, family, if you don't have the certain resources to go, actually buy a book, hey, stop by the library. Family, we have to understand that only 17% of the United States have a library card. That's terrible. Library cards are free. You know what I mean? So we got to kind of understand that this is also self inflicted stress that we go through because we don't choose to go use the free public library to relieve our stress, to sit in silence, Everyone respects each other in there. There's no race, there's no color ever seen in there. I've never experienced any negativity in a library. Physical exercise, as she mentioned. Hey, we might not be able to go to the gym. Some days I don't even make it to the gym. And I trust me, I'm the hardest on myself. I body slam myself when I can't make it to the gym. But if you can't make it to the gym, like she mentioned, stretching is huge, family. Stretching, stretching, stretching. Hey, sometimes doing 100 squats a day, or just mobility exercises, moving your hips, moving your neck around, moving your arms, making sure that your body is able to move. You want to always be able to protect yourself. You want to always be able to get out of certain situations. So do the general functional type of lifts, lateral movements, jumping up and down, jump rope, push-ups if you can, sit-ups, different things that different movements that you use daily. You don't need a gym for them. Do them at home. Just like I mentioned, in your living room, you don't even have to have weights. If you're doing them enough, you're gonna feel some burn, family. That's physical exercise. Now, spiritual exercise, that's different because you have to take the time. That's mirror work. That'll be meditation. That'll be, those self love exercises like journaling, different things like just stimulate your body and your overall wellness. And that's what will bring you the true elation of life, or feeling like you're wealthy. All right, we got to understand that wealth starts within, and it starts with wellness. Then we'll get to all the, the wealth or the money, the monetary gain outside. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that question, Julie, because I'm heavy into the wellness aspect that we're pushing this year. That's
Mhm.
what creative knowledge is very much pushing this year, is wellness, 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 family. Because since that pandemic, there's been a lot of sickness, and they're gonna keep trying to make us sick. So we gotta get ourselves well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and they were oh, you went somewhere. I'll wait till you come back. Well, I don't know where Jeremy went, you guys, but oh, you're back. So, yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, there was so much, it was a fear porn, like, free for all, right? And it's like, it's not like they were sending you, it's like, here, if you don't feel like getting the vaccine, we have sent you and even if you do get the vaccine, we have sent you this wellness package. Like all that money they were spending on vaccines and everything else, they could have been sending us zinc and vitamin C and vitamin D3 and quercetin, little care packages. They could have been getting on TV and saying, instead of commercials this hour, we're going to stop our regular programming and sit and do a 5-minute meditation with you 3 times on the hour. And they could have said, it's really healthy to get outside. But they were telling you, no, stay inside. So it's like, and they only had one solution, and that was the vaccine, right? So they weren't uplifting our spirits. They were making us do things, even if it was unlawful. They were instilling the fear in us. And they were not sending us care packages and helping us meditate and encouraging us to go outside. That for me right there is like, that is so hypocritical, because they're saying, don't get sick and don't get anyone else sick. And there's only one way to do it, which is the vax. And if you don't, you're not a caring member of society. And then they scapegoated everybody who didn't follow that plan. Meh, right? It was ridiculous. And so yeah, so they are going to continue with the fear porn, and so then we got to go inside and nurture ourselves. And a lot of thing, um, it's coming up on 1:30, so I gotta let you go here. But I was listening to Greg Braden the other day. I'll circle back around. I was listening to Greg Braden the other day. There's so much. I want to listen to this video that's not on YouTube that I just got through an email, and I want to transcribe it and then put it out into the world, because there's so much going on the planet right now, and the media has y'all thinking it's one thing when really it's another. Like the Earth, the sun's magnetic field is very weak right now. And if you go back and study history, at the times when the sun's magnetic field was the weakest, there was always the most war. So we're just kind of thinking like, oh, it's just the times. It's because people are so fucked up, or it's whatever it is, right? And we're attributing it to all these things that it's not. When it's like, no, everything has a season and a cycle, and the seasons and the cycles of the universe and the cosmos and the planets affect each other and affect humans if you're on planet. So it's good to know, like, we're saying, oh, climate change. It's like, well, you know what? Climate change is real, but even if humans weren't on Earth, we are adding to it, no doubt about that. But even if we weren't on Earth right now, Earth goes through cycles. And those cycles have all sorts of moods and textures and ups and downs and weather and this and that. So, part of what's happening right now, the climate change, is the cycle that Earth is in, that she's been in before and will be in again in the future. And it also does react to the sun. Like we always talk about how the moon pulls on the tides. And we know that without sun, we wouldn't have life, and it helps grow our food and all these other things. But I don't think we are understanding how these solar flares and the magnetism of the sun is affecting the earth, and how its own weak magnetic field is affecting the psyche on earth right now. We're just believing like, oh, it's just violent because people are violent, and the climate's just fucked up because of people, and we're cancer on the earth, and this is a prison planet. And we got to get rid of those ideas and start looking and asking what is really going on. The magnetic thing is real. Look into it. Look into what are the patterns in history when the sun's magnetic field was not strong. Look into climate patterns on earth throughout history, so you understand that she has a pattern, and that there are seasons that are longer than just summer, winter, spring, and fall. And find your place within this cycle and season, and within the cycle and season that humanity is going through. Don't buy into the fear porn. Don't believe everything you see. Help your bee pollinators by not eating pesticide laden food. There is an insect apocalypse on the earth right now. We have lost the majority of insects. That's why when I was a kid, my windshield was plastered with bugs when I go driving. Now there's hardly any there. In the United States alone, we've lost 96% of our bee population. We gotta stop with the petrochemicals, y'all, or it doesn't matter if we find our peace, love, and happiness and whatever. If there ain't no insects, there's no food, and then there's no us. So we're not caring about them just so we can eat. We're caring about them because they are worth caring about, and we have been very disrespectful to them with our farming practices. um, so it's all about this interdependence and interrelationship and self-respect and other, and realizing that actually there is no self and other, it's all one. And brother, I thank you for, I don't know what happened. I just was on a preacher's
No, I hear it.
but but
You
I have so much love in my heart for you, and a lot of respect, and I'm so grateful, speaking of gratitude, that you came on. And I'd love to do a build with you in the future. And if you have any closing thoughts or words or wisdom for our audience today, I would love to hear them.
Yes, ma'am. And we're gonna do a build. We're gonna keep going back and forth, platform to platform, because we got to get this message out. And again, like you mentioned, I got so much respect for you as well. I love you, my soul sister. I really appreciate this opportunity. You know what I mean? It's been a long time coming. I appreciate all your help and your motivation throughout this spiritual journey. And to the people, man, like we mentioned here today, just love self. you know start trying to love the earth, love your neighbor, love your family, and everything will be all right, family. We're going to get through this. The world is going to get through this, and we're going to just continue to strive to grow, tap into your chakra centers, that energy, tap into your heart. You're on earth. Heart rearranged this earth. So you gotta always tap into what you love and do what you love daily, and do it without fear of what nobody thinks. We don't care what the majority thinks, family. We are the few. We are the proud. We ain't the Marines, but we are we are the overall consciousness community. And again, sister, I love you. I appreciate this, and this was a great build, and I look forward to building more.
Nice. When you said we are the few, we are the proud, it made me think that we are. I've been thinking about this lately. It's like, you know what we are? The ones who swim upstream when everybody else is swimming upstream and we're or downstream, and we're like, I think there's some gold up there. And then everybody's like, y'all are crazy. But I think that is like that kind of makes us like the immune system of the world, right? So yeah, we're keeping it healthy, yo. Another
Yeah,
thing is, I have a Gmail address that is it's energywealth.com, because your health is your first wealth. And so I took the word health and attached a W on the front. So it's wealth, but with the H in
with
there.
the
So the wealth
H, right,
together. Yeah. So
right.
energywealth@gmail.com if anyone ever wants to shoot me an email for any reason, or you want to come on here, or
Yes,
however that all works. So let's just show this ticker tape one more time. If you guys want to find Jeremy, he has Creative Knowledge TV YouTube channel, and that link will be in the box in the description below within this video. And we love y'all, and we are thankful you came. Jeremy, don't take off straight away once I end the live stream, okay?
yes, ma'am.
All right. Peace out, y'all. We love you so much. And we look forward to doing this again. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for being here live or on the replay.